Now, I would like to welcome our second speaker of the day, Dr. Pushan Kumar Dutta, sir. He is an assistant professor in grade 3. Pushan Kumar Dutta, sir, is an assistant professor in grade 3 in EC department at Amity University, Kolkata, and is highly accomplished academician and researcher. He has a PhD from Jadavpur University and postdoctorate from Erasmus Mundus Association. He's garnered recognition through his contribution to this field. His expertise expands data mining, AI, edge computing, predictive analytics, sustainability, and intelligent systems for biomedical applications. As a prolific editor, he has edited more than 40 books with varied publisher houses and over 20 book chapters in prestigious publications. He has an H index of 13 and over 80 research articles in Scopus and different journals. His research achievements, academic achievements include being a research coordinator and receiving the Young Faculty Engineering Award in 2018. He has been a member of technical programming committees for notable conferences and delivered keynote speeches, including the Data Science Europe Conference in 2022. Beyond this, he has been selected as a mentor of change by Niti Aayog in 2019. He has guided students to various competitions and innovation events and currently coordinates supports and innovation competitions at Amity University, Kolkata, with an Indian copyright and 2 patents, including one for innovative digital teaching and learning for professional readiness. Dr. Datta continues to make significant contributions to engineering and technology education. Thank you, sir, and for joining us. Over to you, sir. Now you can start your session, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Rather, it's a late evening. I think many of us have joined
Yes.
this conference and this FDP program, and this is really a great event for all of us for presenting the research and bringing an academic clarity to the research topics that we do. So at this point of time, I am working on a number of edited books as contributed volumes, and I intend to address the concern of editors and authors who would like to actually aspiring editors who would like to work in project proposals for different publishing houses and how to link up everything. So as you can see in this first diagram itself, that the is the screen properly visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you please do
So
it in full screen mode?
sorry. I've
It's okay,
shared
sir.
the screen. I've shared the screen. Sorry, ma'am. Uh, yeah, I'll share it. So should I share the entire screen? Is it the way it should be?
Yes, sir. I think that would be good, sir. With the entire
Okay.
screen sharing, you will be able to do yes, full screen. Now it is
So now
visible,
is
sir.
it full screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So as an editor, book editor, this is my expectations and experience which I've garnered over the last 1.5 years as a editor of different volumes. I have been working with publishing houses, and a lot of them in the recent past. I have so this is a small brief of my work. So at this point of time, I'm engaging with almost all the known publishing houses, including Springer, including Elsevier, Bentham, River, Recruiter, Apple Academic Press, Wiley, Emerald, IIT, IGI Global, CRC Press, and I'm working. A lot of work is going on. It's exciting work. At the same time, it's a lot of work which needs, a lot of you can say a lot of handling and mishandling, where mishandling becomes a certainty. So there are some probabilities related to this. So I would explain to what exactly I'm doing as an editor for different books, and it's seriously, if you work on as an editorship as well as an author for a book chapter, it may not be as rigorous as publishing in an SCI journal, or maybe delivering to the standards of a highly published Scopus journal, but it conforms to the editorial and the publication policies of a journal, because it is maintained by maintaining the same standards, especially that a publisher needs or requires from the authors to shape up. And in order to, why do we need the editor? So, an editor is collaborating with the publisher in general in shaping the content of a book. And what how we are doing it? So, normally, many of you as researchers may be associated with other researchers, including me, or with the other senior professors over here in LinkedIn. So you automatically will be seeing that in those research contexts we post regularly in Facebook, in LinkedIn, in different WhatsApp groups, a call for chapter. It's a digital leaflet form. If you want, we can share the same. But you will be finding that by doing so, what exactly we are doing is we are taking the responsibility in creating a book manuscript. So, what exactly is this book all about? It is a contributed volume where the editor can double up as authors of chapters, or it can be shared, means it's a shared responsibility whereby this chapters gets a DOI indexing. And since the book has an ISBN number, so this book automatically is indexed somewhere. And the best thing is that you are not paying anything to the publisher, because the publisher has got a certain agreement with the editor as to create or formulate a new kind of a book, where the book has some section or some uh, you know some it's a very large manuscript and it has got different sections to it. So as a book editor, we are planning the entire context of that book, and you can say that the the authors are basically like a section editor, and planning they are rather planning they are giving chapters where the themes are allocated by the editor, who is approved editor, and who has planned the entire book, or the book agreement proposal, and has sent it to the commissioning or the commissioning acquisition editor. We call them the commissioning acquisition editor. So what the commissioning acquisition editor will go through is he will give the following set of responsibilities, that is to the editor, and it's a kind of an agreement, and this agreement has got certain standards which the editor needs to maintain. So it's a written agreement, and because whenever there is an agreement copy, there are some standards with the publisher we will try to create and formulate, and also they will try to accumulate some kind of an ideas from what the editor who would like to get the chapters would actually want and approve the content. When he is designated to approve those kind of content, as well as collect permissions for each chapter from the authors. So any kind of a authorship is something that we all think about, that okay, we need a certain number of chapters after a certain point of time. So a book chapter writing, if you look into an IGI Global, or if you look into a CRC Press, or if you look into all the books publishing houses which are existing at this point of time. So initially, when I started my journey of actually formulating what exactly is a edited book, there were not many people, maybe two or three people at that point of time, who were actually very much strongly focusing on books, because focusing on books also requires a certain sense of enthusiasm, as well as a certain discipline, because you need to follow up with the authors as well as the editor in chief over a point of time. So, what exactly does the book deal with? The book deals with a set of priorities or prerogatives. So, in general, these are duties of an editor. Okay, so once all these activities are done and the editor sends this things like there is also a designated lead editor. So I am personally, I've been a designated lead editor. I've been communicating with the publishers for quite a long time, and I
Sir,
understand.
sorry to interrupt you. Can you please
Yes,
click the hide option for that prompt, which is yes, sir.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you, sir.
yeah. So I've been personally, I've been handling this process with many of the publishing houses, uh, reaching out to them, exactly, proofreading, getting the chapters, then commissioning contributors for the chapters. So as an editor, these have been something that I've been doing personally, and I feel that when I've started this work, I just want to share my expectations and my experience in this FDP that we are organizing, and Dr. Gupta sir has also given me this opportunity as a co-editor, as I've personally worked with him, and our book is also Scopus Index. So whatever chapters that we got is indexed in Scopus. We received around 40 chapters for one of our books. So starting at a certain point of time, what I believe is we have been doing a lot of progress. When I started and what I've been doing right now, I've been participating and I've been also been involving a lot of researchers who are maybe in my field as well as the researchers who have not been working in my field to work together. So it's a more of a contributed work rather than, see, when we are doing a research on a certain topic, it's more of a judgmental program. So you judge each other. Okay, this idea is less of an idea. This idea is more of an idea. But when you look into a book is a set of ideas all rolled or compiled into one. So there is no designate single idea what we promote. So there are certain set of themes or aligned topics, and we cover these topics. So if you look into the concept of a book as a knowledge delivery process, there are different sets of books which are available in the market. So if you look into the concept of a monograph is a separate, different book, a contributed work where we are actually looking into a combined treatment of a single subject, and it is led by a volume editor. So that is another different work. An encyclopedia is again a book or a set of books offering comprehensive information on all or specialized areas of knowledge, which are arranged according to the alphabetic table of contents. Next is a textbook, academic textbook, which is used for education to give an overview of a subject. Reference book, whereas encyclopedia and dictionaries, which are not intended to be read from front to back. Proceedings, lectures or papers given at a conference or a workshop. Thesis, a book detailing an author's research written to fulfill the requirements for attaining any degree. Professional book, presentation of a field for advanced training of persons working in this field. So it's more like a professional certification in a professional book. A general internship to build up a certain kind of a readership depending on the style and layout of a personal work. And then a handbook, a well-structured and exhaustive chapter-wise presentation of usually a broad documentation of the status of a research field. So these are the different sets of, you can say, a knowledge driving process of any kind of book. And if you look into CRC Press, if you look into IGI, if you look into IEEE River, if you look into Springer, if you look into all of these support monographs, all of these support contributed works, all of these support encyclopedia proceedings, Springer proceedings, when we talk about that. So it's coming from a conference or a workshop. So that's a proceedings. And a handbook also. So handbook is also, you'll be finding this word very often. So what exactly is a handbook? So we are starting off with exactly a certain kind of a knowledge base as to what we need in academics. We need academic textbooks. Definitely, we need academic textbooks to build up our knowledge as well as to emanate structurally. Whenever there is something in a syllabus format, we need to emanate that in a structural format. But nowadays, if you see into different kind of case studies emanating from a single subject, uh, like image processing, like IoT. Then even if you look into digital signal processing, or even if you look into digital design itself. So the topic of choice, it's not coming from what we already know, but it's a compilation of the different kind of, you can say, the knowledge base, a knowledge driven approach. We are living with a knowledge driven economy itself. So when you look into that progress, a textbook or a contributed work is essentially something that can give a publisher, means if you look into a publisher perspective also, to establish its reputation in the market. So if you look into a professional book, what is a professional book? Like CCNA licensing. If you look into that professional expertise, that will only be for a certain expertise market. But if you look into a contributed work or a handbook or any kind of reference book or proceedings, now see, proceedings don't usually sell in the market. Why don't proceedings sell in the market? Because it's a conference book proceedings. But I won't say exactly that they don't sell, because selling itself is a word where there is a buyer and there is a purchase. Uh, uh, there is a concept of a transaction. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the knowledge driven economy purpose, and their contributed work or a reference work is very useful. So, when you look into a book is something where there is a knowledge delivery, and that knowledge delivery should come from different chapters. And these chapters may be associated for a book which is associated with a conference or with a special theme or with special editions of journals. So that's how people frequently associate books to create a career as well as an institutional support, and book chapters contribute as research outputs, and normally they count towards performance review and promotion also. I'm telling you, because most people think that, okay, I'm not writing journal articles, or someone else is writing a journal article for me. But whenever you have a post, you can boast of book chapters, you're creating an academic writing process, and you're forcing yourself to write something innovative based on the theme areas which are available. Now, why people should prefer book chapters over, like, let's say, journals? Because they are having a very long waiting list. And secondly, you can say book chapters, although there may be an APC charge or there is a large amount of charges associated with publishing books, but books are available on subscription. So what will happen is, books normally, when you look into the process of books, these are delivered by publishers of highest repute. You look into the publishing houses like Springer Verlag, or associated like Emerald Press or IGI Global. They all have their offices settled somewhere in US. They have streamlined uh, the entire discourse, whereby the publishing standards is not just on the academic prospects of keeping the academic output of that process. It might be how a publisher thinks about contributing to the greater good towards libraries and everything. So there is a certain associated difference between a chapter and an article. Now, this is what the difference is. If you want to create a chapter, you are not creating it for a journal. Now, this is what we normally want. And like, let's say, there have been people who have asked me that, sir, we want to do a workshop, and whatever chapters that we get from that workshop, you please publish in our book. I say that, sir, this is good, but chapter uh, is a theme in a book. We'll have a theme which is not isolated as an individual article in a journal, because in a journal, when you're publishing an article, you're keeping that scientific writing standard so as not for a general audience, but it's more like a thematic special value edition. Now, ap- in a journal writing process, you have to be very apt about the topic and the ideas that you are mentioning, and you need to suggest the best of the lot, references, everything. But a book chapter is more like an outline. A book chapter is creating a certain amount of readership insight on that topic itself, and at the same time it is aligning to a certain book where you are means a book where there are a number of chapters, and this is one of the theme areas to highlight as to what is the essence of that topic from the author's perspective. So it's more in an essay format, it's more in a narrative format to create an interest and concern related to the topic. On the other hand, an article is more like a scientific paper reporting. So many people ask me that, sir, we are doing an empirical research, or is it more like a qualitative result with results and discussion? No, sir, it's not. Chapters are not like a IMRAD model. So there is no constraint as such that okay, you have to provide a value addition. But what is happening is book chapters should be cited more, but they get cited less. The reason being the layout of a chapter and the standard of a chapter is not as simple, is as singled out as that of a book, as a article. In an article, when we are citing references which are the latest progress or the latest talks related to a certain topic. But when we are writing a book chapter, we are dealing with the so these are we are trying to fine tune. Like when we write an abstract, okay, we want to just fine tune. Okay, these are the topics that we are planning to address and question, put forward those questions in a certain literature perspective and describe. So what we normally want to describe is whether there are some methods, whether there's some experiments, whether there's some case studies, or whether there's some interviews, and from that, what is the value addition of that chapter as to major conclusion and implications, and what is the reflections, like the take home message, like okay, I made the following discussions to the topic. Okay, as simple as that. It's in a narrative format, and uh, you are asking a certain question as to why a certain research gap exists and that has not been addressed in the literature, but you are not trying to justify that through some uh, long set of codes and long set of simulation algorithms. So that itself lets us become less judgmental about a book chapter. So this is how a book chapter normally deals with. So I try to summarize it. Next is when we look into a broad roles of an editor. What are the roles of an editor? First is developmental editing. So when we are writing a proposed agreement copy, before that we have to set up a proposal. So what is this proposal all about? This is more like a book proposal submission as following the guidelines of a certain publisher, what exactly they want to have in respect to a certain book, like what are the delivery areas, what are the titles, subtitles. This I'll be just showing, and these are the broad rules. So there are 4 broad rules. First is developmental editing. Next is line editing. If they come up with some reviews as to where exactly our work is not so extensively addressed, so those editing standards are to be followed. So, so that is one of the aspects or roles of a book editor. Next is publishing. Are we following the going to follow the publishing guidelines? So copy editing, and finally proofreading. So these are the broad rules. So when you look into the book editing concept, we have to find out the interdependencies. So this is what I try to work on, is when I've started writing a proposal. So there are already some points or documents which are existing, and there are some reference context that we need to address. And I can show you a proposal also. When we are trying to address a proposal, what are the standards? Presently, I'm editing like with Emerald, and also I'm editing. So I try to associate first the acquisition editor or the commissioning editor. So there are two editors who are associated, and the third one is a production editor. So there are three editors rather. So acquisition is somebody who is acquiring all the proposals from different A, B, C, D lead editors who plan to do the same. Next is a commissioning editor. So the commissioning editor will look into the standards of that proposal. And what I found out is, in each and every time, what the editors are looking for is how we have set up the narrative as to identify the interdependencies about the several themes that are to be addressed, and whether we have kept that narrative cohesive throughout. So, overview. Is everybody there? What can I? Am I sounding very boring right now? Is everybody there? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is an overview about our book publishing, how I normally work on the book publishing, what are the stages and phases of it. So this is a book publishing. So here there are some proposal guidelines and how the contract is to be established. So there is a contract agreement proposal. So first is we set up a publishing process, as we write the proposal in a certain process, and uh, depending on the internal assessment of the reviewer and the peer reviewer, we are offered a contract. So it's as simple as that. We need to get that contract, and we want to fetch that contract, and after fetching the contract, the work just starts. It's like you can say, if the, if some they are is extended working with the publisher, and trying to find out the key parts of a contract. So what exactly the standards of the contract should be like, what should be the delivery date, what are the terms, then who all are going to be the editors, how their work is aligned, the topic, whether the editors have done some kind of a work in an emerging area. After that entire thing is done, we give a kind of a call for papers in the online mode, in the online format. And after coming up with that online format, we kind of ensure that people who would like to submit or are interested to submit the book chapters, they are communicated about the dates and everything, and referencing styles, usage of third party materials, and also whether suitable permissions, they have the suitable permissions for that. Okay. Keep regular contact with your own editorial team. Schedule a progress content about the same, which especially like IGI, which is a portal based system, e-discovery platform they have, where the contents are managed, can be managed in the portal format itself. They have a very simple system, and you can easily work with. IGI has got this developmental editor. So development editor is somebody who is sitting on top, and he is not only he or she rather, they are not only working with you, they try to find out whether the editing process is going on in
Sorry
a
to interrupt you,
fine
sir.
manner. Yeah. Yes.
So I think someone has raised a hand. I think he has a query regarding this.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes.
should
Please.
we address it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir. Sir, please ask your query.
Yes, please. Who is it? Has he put some question? No.
Anupam, sir, can you please ask your query directly to sir? Anupam, sir, am I audible to you? Okay, sir, I think there was a misunderstanding. You can continue with the session.
Okay. Okay. So, uh, so this is how the entire process will be applicable. So I'm saying about all, means, especially those who become the lead editors. This is applicable to most of them, and because the publisher is associating a commissioning editor, and the commissioning editor will be in direct contact with the lead editor. So the lead editor will take care of all the publishing standards, and uh, after copy editing and collating all the documents, so these are the next steps which are required. So the steps involve ensure all contributors sign contributor agreements. So there is a contributor agreement that is to be signed between the authors and the uh, you can say the editors, and the style guide is to be followed. Normally, the Chicago style is followed for CRC, IGI, for Springer also. Uh, Springer follows the APA format, I think so. Yeah, APA. The MLS style is Willis Shriver and so on and so forth, like in Elsevier and in Bentham. So many of these are following a certain style, and a POC is to be maintained for all the chapters. Then we also create a front and a back matter for a book, a preface of a chapter. So overall, uh, this is a kind of a diagrammatic aspect as to how a book publisher and a commissioning editor works in tandem. So these are the set of themes or the pool of themes. So what the commissioning editor is going to do is they will evaluate the project theme, and once this is proposed to the book publisher. So commissioning editor is taking care of the same, and once this book publisher is doing everything, so it's a two-way process between a book publisher and a commissioning editor. So commissioning editor is handling this book, and he sets aside to the developmental editor. So the guest editor or the lead editor, whoever is taking care of the proposal or the agreement or signing the agreement. So out of these, at least one or two people will be accessed directly to the commissioning editor. And this commissioning editor has got access to what projects. So he is evaluating. So he is applying as a stream, because a book publisher will not be in this following stages. Book publisher will directly apply to the commissioning editor. But the book publisher has got access to the theme areas. So if the project is approved, he will assign the commissioning editor, and the commissioning editor will set the approval or the rejection of the project. But the contract signing is done between the book publisher and the lead editor. So it's not done between the commissioning editor and the guest editor. So this is how the entire process works. So the third editor, so this is how the entire process is working. So when we are completing the book, then the standards, so this is the standards what the publisher keeps from their end. First is the production editor. Next is some kind of a project manager. So he is overseeing or responding to the production editor at the Taylor Francis, maybe Taylor and Francis or any other group. Next is a copy editor. So copy editing is something that is handled entirely from the book publisher's perspective. And so is the typesetting part, the typesetter part. But the indexing part, so now earlier days, the indexing part was handled by the book publisher themselves. But nowadays, the publisher has made sure that okay, if you are sending this indexing part, you need to pay a certain amount, or that amount will be deducted from a certain kind of a royalty that the editor gets for developing the book, and that amount will be deducted from that. So in general, these are the things that a production editor, a project manager, a copy editor, and a typesetter and indexer does in any kind of a book publishing house. So when I was developing a project, so in general, what is a project? So it's a title. So title means when I'm developing a title of a book, I want to find out that okay, it's not a title should not a book title should not be like a journal title, okay? Because a journal title has to be more concentrated. It does not deal with only a certain point of or a perspective. But when we go for a title of a book, we are looking into a professional title and a subtitle. And then these are the following points that will make the difference. Like, what is a vision? How is this book going to benefit the discipline or profession that we work in? And then, why would someone buy this book? So, whenever we are developing this proposal, I or somebody, whoever is developing this proposal, we have to continuously maintain this narrative as to how we can make that initial draft or concept of a publisher to the publisher so that the publisher gets impressed. See, I'm not talking about a journal or a conference is bad, but when you actually are doing something, because a book will be sold by the publisher. So if the publisher feels that the standards of a book is quite high, then only the publisher will incorporate all his functionalities towards a book. Okay, so that is why an editor's role is quite a confusing role. That's what I feel. It's a role of khichdi. It's a khichdi kind of thing. Now, when you're establishing your narrative, you have to first understand that what kind of information or what kind of structure you're planning. So, based on that structure only, the publisher will get an insight of it because they are much more experienced than many of us sitting over here. They are much, much more experienced. They know exactly who all are the editors, who can be a good editor. They all know like what exactly we are doing. So when we are submitting a book proposal, what does the publishers they do? First, they send it to the acquisition editor. So the acquisition editor, first what it will do is they will perform an initial screening and conduct a market analysis. So once they get this market feasibility report that okay, this kind of book is essential to a market, then only they will propose this book idea to that editorial board. Now, each of these publishing houses have got their own editorial board, and then the publishing houses again will consider the scope, the relevance, the quality of the proposal, and make a certain decision. So, when they are notifying a certain decision, before that, the acquisition editor has got this information from the editorial board. Now, overall, the work area or overall this entire work area or proposal, I have found out this following question. When you are working as a book editor, there is a set of theme areas which are questions, but when you are working on that editorial aspect itself, these are my own set of personal questions that I've created as a set of reviews for a proposal or development of a proposal. So in the proposal, what is very interesting or important for this content or acquisition editor is to get the table of contents from the lead editor. So this table of contents and the affiliation of the authors is something that they find as a must. And for that, they find out the practicality and the objectivity of the project. And then they also find out the diversity of the work, because the publisher, when they are taking chapters from different set of editors, they find out, okay, whether it's only from the diversity only deals with only one section of researchers from a certain area only or a certain zone. So from all the perspectives are taken care of before making a book into our market, like before signing a contract with the lead editor. So, what is the first objective? So, the first objective that I found out is when I get the contract, is the first thought that comes in my mind is I spoke about something called as a monograph or a textbook. Why would a publisher think of something? The publisher will think, this is the first question that will come in your mind. Why would somebody deal with a subject like a contributed volume where a monograph or a textbook is there? And what is the further reading or conceptual methodological issues that may be handled in that book? And then when we are giving the table of contents, what is the opinion about the writing style and the reading level of that book? So there's if there's too much of detail, then automatically they will say that okay, there is a uh, it's too much of strength. But in general, what they find out is that the diversity of the subject, like right from chapter 1 to chapter 15, and we have mentioned that under three themes as to a narrative. Then what happens is automatically the authors, the editors, will be at a better position. Next is, as I told you, that I personally review a proposal on certain grounds. I start developing a proposal from scratch on certain grounds. So everybody has got their own style, and that's how they get the proposal accepted or approved. Or there are some modifications to that proposal. Next is style guides. Like if you look into a style guides, it's something that normally is you see why I feel to talk about the style guides is many people don't actually know how to cite a book chapter, and that's why you will find out that although people write book chapters, those citations don't automatically go up. So, how the in-text citation or in a paraphrase should be made and in-text citation as a direct quote should be made is to be known for the different book chapters which are existing. So, next is quotations. You can directly give quotations in books. So, the books are aimed for people for different set of backgrounds who are coming not from only from science or from technology. They can be from humanities also, from law field also, and they can engage in developing book editorials with a different set of people who are coming from different set of specializations. So the next thing is scopus indexing. So a book doesn't get scopus indexing all by its own. A book needs to be in its digital format, like PDF and XML format, and metadata for this book should also be made available so that the book gets into scopus indexing. And normally the publisher follows this following you can say the URL link to take all its book into from a series or something like that into a scopus indexing format. So in order to make value addition, Scopus, it's a relevant platform. So what is Scopus indexing? So Scopus indexing was formed as an international board in 2009, and it's an objective system for evaluating and validating peer-reviewed journal systems and ensures transparency and fairness in journal selection process. Set criteria for inclusion and exclusion of journals in Scopus. So these are the responsibilities which are associated, and Scopus title evaluation platform. So any kind of a article, whenever it goes to a subject editor, it whether it should be proposed in Scopus or not has to be dealt with from different aspects. So I will just you can say, so if the screen is still not visible, I will just try to share maybe a single, just a single more thing, and we'll stop it over here. Where is the? So my presentation has. I will start. Yeah. So what you can see over here, say for example, so this is one lead maps. So what I normally do is uh, I follow 2 to 3 websites in order to create a concept map, and this concept map deals with the POC that I try to plan out for a book. And I try to see, say for example, these are 2 set of books. First is Question of Intellectual. So I'm presently delving on developing a book on intellectual property rights. Let's say. So IP rights in the digital age. So if I want to create a narrative, a good narrative of a book, so in that case, what should be the chapters that should come in the TOC? So whether there is some relevance or some interdependencies among the concepts. So what I do is I put those ideas in lit maps, and then I try to find out or engage myself. So this is lit maps is a kind of a, so like let's say IPR. I put this IPR kind of thing, and under IPR I try to find out that what are the topics that may match my system or mismatch, be a mismatch. So this is the Scopus kind of thing that I told you all about. And the next thing is I also check for synapse strengths. So synapse is what, if I want to plan a book on IPR, I just want to see how many number of publications have gone up in the last few years, and how many of these publications are from, like let's say, a certain kind of an audience that I'm trying to identify. So the better I go with all these things, the better would be my judgment and creating better books with audience, because with every book that I do, my audience is going to get stronger. So I would stop over here, because it's a very long journey. You can say the editing process itself, it's a very long journey. Uh, I've been planning different books over the last 1 year or so. I've received around, at this point of time, 40 ke aspas, with the grace of many of uh, my co-editors who are from India and from abroad. And I'm hoping that I'll be doing much many more in the coming time. But for doing something with relevance, we need to plan, and that planning process takes us to deal with a subject which may not have existed earlier, uh, as you can say a textbook knowledge. So with all of these, I would end my discourse over here. So thank you one and all for being present, and for being less judgmental. So I can see 2 questions are being raised. Ruchira Singla ma'am. So can you
Good
just
evening,
point
sir.
out? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, like you have mentioned about this lit maps and the second site also. So this we
Uh,
have to refer while preparing our proposal at that time, uh,
no,
when
no,
we are
no, no, no.
finalizing our TOC.
Yeah, when we are finalizing our TOC, see, these AI tools are of quite a good help if we can find out the interdependencies uh, between the
Existing books.
things existing. No, no, existing kind of work that is already available. Say for example, if I make a TOC and I want to present it to the publisher, I need to convince the publisher that if I am presenting a certain book, then that narrative, as I told you, it needs to be very consistent. So if there are some interdependencies between these topics, as we mentioned, then
Okay.
obviously the book will become very compact, and that will help the book publisher to make a certain decision based on the market needs, whether this book is coming under an emerging area and can be taken as a full-fledged commission book.
And also, we should decide our contributors before submitting the proposal, or it should
No,
be open.
before submitting the proposal, they want, actually nowadays all the publishers, they expect that okay, you submit a set of affiliation authors names with some affiliations, but normally it's tentative. Okay,
Okay.
it's tentative, but
Okay.
except but this I'm not talking about IGI. If you go to
Okay.
IGI, the IGI is an independent platform. It's
Mm-hmm.
totally an independent platform, and IGI is nowadays also going to Scopus. So in IGI, what is also happening is you directly suggest without the names. Okay, so CRC also wants the names. CRC in some of the cases. So it all depends on how we place the narrative of a book, and then how we are persisting with the, you can say, the commissioning editor. So if the commissioning editor is ready, then automatically they will give us the book in the shortest of time.
And if you are working on an area which is it is not of global importance but of the national importance, then I mean, what are the
Ma'am,
chances of?
ma'am, the case delivery. Whenever you talk about the case delivery, and then what happens is you can't consider it as a handbook. Okay,
Okay.
so you have to consider it more like a case study. And as I told you, the case study perspective, normally the publishers, they don't want on case studies only.
Okay.
They want to identify if it's a case study. You go for small reports. Publishers have also got, like, even if you go to IEEE has got reports. IEEE has got a digital library explore. IEEE also has got some points or something. So what exactly, or you go to IEEE River, they have got something called as rapids. So all these case studies, now they want to put it somewhere else. But if you are looking to establish the narrative for a book, and if you are not fixing the diversity, and if you are keeping the you can say more the demographic within a very small area, then
लेके आओ,
then
लेके आओ,
the
दीदी का फोन आ गया
publisher will think that okay, market needs is something that I'm not able to address. And most of the publishers, they disdain the fact, means I'm talking about the publisher's perspective. Although the Indians are the maximum people who submit book chapters, most of my books have got the highest number from any from Indians, and I am talking about Indians from all across India and outside India also, and from different areas or different subject areas. So all of them are submitting. Foreigners, they don't submit most of the chapters. Maybe one or two, three, four, something like that. Because the experts, they don't want to get into this narrative. They want to be the, you can say, like, they want to be one of the editors or something like that, the foreigners mostly. But I have seen that although you are giving some case studies, whenever you are saying it as a case study, you don't point it as a case study, because market for a publisher is not just India. It's either whole Southeast Asia, or the Europe, or the Middle East, or something like that, because they have their own branches, and they will they will send their distribution their books to those areas. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, sir, for this speech, and thank you for your answer. There is other participants who want to ask something. Sir
Yeah.
Chinmay Maiti, sir.
Yeah, please allow Mini Srivastava, ma'am. She has been waiting to ask also.
Vinny Srivastava.
Okay, shall I ask?
Yes,
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 of course.
sure.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for
So,
joining.
thank you, sir. Thank you for the lovely session. Just wanted to check on an average, what is the timeline like from the time the proposal is created to the time the book actually gets published and indexed? So, like, I'd like to know on an average.
Uh, can't say that okay. Uh, 2 to 3 books normally. See, I've sent book proposals, and some of my proposals got accepted within 1 month. Some of my proposals took more than 3 months of time. Uh, Normally, the publishers, what they keep a kind of a, they don't uh, want us to create something very new, because in that case they have to make a set of market, they have to identify a new database. They have got a very structured query as to where they want to put this book, allocate this book. So based on that only, they will start allocating. And lot of, nowadays lot of data is available to publishers, just like lot of data is available to us.
Hmm.
So in accordance with that, I found out the average time for response for getting an agreement is 3 months, around 3 months. And after the 3 months, if we wait like around 4 to 5 months more, then you can say that 7 months or 8 months for the entire book to shape up, and then we submit the proposal. And after submission of the proposal, uh, submission of the book, it may take 1.5 months to 2 months more for the publisher to respond back. Uh,
Hmm.
for that entire thing. So you can say that for doing one single book, and if you are taking around 20 chapters, reviewing them properly, do something, it should take at least 1 year for doing one proper book. But it all depends on what you actually want to do with the book. So recently, if you ask me about IGI Global, I have been completing books in less than 3 months nowadays. Means it all
Completing
depends on,
books.
yeah, completing one book in less than 3 months. I can complete
Okay.
one book.
Okay.
So
And
I can complete books if I can get it within 1 month. We can complete within the next 2 months. IGI
okay.
is the fastest. IGI Global.
o- Okay. And my second question, if the time permits, is about Scopus indexing. Like,
Yeah,
are
yeah,
there
yeah.
certain publishers which easily gets their books indexed in Scopus, and others take, like, it's difficult for others. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is it
yeah,
like?
yeah. Yes, yes. So publishing from Scopus. Initially, I did not search much about how the publishers actually go for Scopus indexing, but there are some criteria, and this criteria is it's available online as well. There is a very transparent process, and the process is that for a book or a book series, that book series should have an ISSN number, uh, which is confirmed by the ISSN International Center. So that's the first thing that publisher, the Scopus. So Scopus is a peer-reviewed platform, and they take, see, my book, after it got published, it took around 20 days for getting indexed in Scopus. So I've got five at this point of time, 4 books which are already indexed in Scopus, 3 of them in IGI, and one with IT. So once you get the book published and it's available in the online mode, if it's having an ISSN number, then there are every chances of it going into Scopus. So this I'm talking about. So I have got also a list of publishers which are available online. So I will share it in our own research group as well. So you
Hmm.
can search through it, and this is, I'm talking about the humanities background people. So
Hmm.
those who are from the humanities, they automatically they cannot go into IGI, because IGI
Hmm.
sets the standards for technology based chapters. Although
Hmm.
as a lead editor, I may be applicable. So if I want to do something on IPR and digital age, I can
Hmm.
easily get something relative, and I can send it to IGI, and they can proceed with the book. But talking about the fact that a person who is from the humanities background and they want to be a lead editor, for them it's not so easy. So for them, there are a lot of publishing houses. Now, these publishing houses should have a certain standard, and they should have an ISSN which is confirmed. So that's the first thing. Okay, so there are a lot of other things which are also there, like about
Hmm.
the serial title information. They need to document their topics. And as I told you the other day also, that books are getting Scopus index much more than journals, because journals there is a certain policy, there is a certain analytics thing, citation insights which have to be followed, and these citation insights need to be regulated and sent over in that Scopus data. And then Scopus will further look into the standards of publishing of those journals, and then they will give them, they will renew their indexing again for the new year, because the journals, they have a certain fees, and they are directly charging the fees from the authors, whereas the books are not charging this from the authors, but rather from the you can say the subscription based platforms with which they are having some kind of a tie-up or association, or some kind of an academic base. And from there, see, Scopus is also a peer-reviewed platform, so they are following some guidelines, which is known as the COPE guidelines. And based on those guidelines only, Scopus ensures some kind of an indexing. So, keeping all of this thing in mind, uh, this indexing is a kind of a thing that publishing houses can identify much better, because in this website suggested.step.scopus.com, every kind of detailing, I can share this with you if you want to get a direct understanding of how Scopus indexing happens. You can go through this website as well. And this is maintained by Elsevier. Scopus is a registered, so what is basically Scopus? Scopus is a registered trademark. By whom? Trademark by Elsevier. Elsevier B.V. So, whatever Scopus is following, Scopus is following the policy of Elsevier. So Elsevier is the best publishing house or the publishing standard, and that's how we can expect that Scopus indexing will happen. So
Okay.
that alignment is to be followed. So I
Thank
will
you.
stop it over here. I think
Yeah.
already we have
Thank you.
taken a lot of time. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful and brief answer. And thank you for your time.
Yeah.
And yes, sir.
No, nothing. No. Yes, please. You can
No,
end this.
sir. Do you want to say something?
No, I have
Uh,
spoken a lot. I think it's high time we can stop.
Thank you, sir, for your time from your busy schedule.
Yeah. Thank you.